Alright, I'm recording. Hey gang, Andy here, coming at you, Pook, with an editing tutorial here in Adobe Premiere Pro. And today we're going to be going over how to mute, solo, and delete audio tracks in an imported video. So, before we get started, the version of Adobe Premiere that I'm using is Adobe Premiere Pro CC 2015. So if you guys are using an older version like a CS6 or something like that, the layout's going to be slightly different, but it's the same general concepts. So let's get started. And here we have a video that I've imported from YouTube from one of my favorite YouTubers of all time, the late great Roger Swan. And we're just going to use one of his videos as an example. So we have the video imported here onto the timeline. And we go over here to the audio track down here. You have two main options here. You have an M and an S. And as I highlight them, you can see it says mute track and one that says solo track. So the difference between muting and soloing is that muting, well, mutes the track. So if you hit play, you're not going to hear anything. And so if I unmute it, you're going to hear something. And it's a theme song. And soloing does the opposite in that it's the only track that's played. But since there's only a single audio track here, it's not really going to make a whole lot of difference if I hit solo or not because there's only one audio track. But if I had multiple tracks, like say a background track or something like that, then it would only play that track. And you can also do it for multiple tracks as well, but it's kind of counterintuitive, I think. So it's just kind of the opposite of muting, we'll say. So I'll just hit solo. And you're still going to hear it, obviously. So, and you can do the same thing for video as well, although there's not so much a mute and a solo as there is a view and a not view. So up here at the little eyeball here, above video, you can click it on and off. And so I'll go ahead and rewind at the beginning. We'll hit play, and then I can toggle on and off these different options just to show their effects in real time. So, let's begin. So there you go. The soloing, like I said, doesn't really do much in this particular video because I only have one audio track. But if I had multiple tracks, it would only play the selected track. So there you go. Now you've learned how to turn on and off audio in Adobe Premiere Pro. Now, the next step is to remove audio entirely. So if you import audio through a video clip, the audio and video are going to be linked. So if I were to scroll this along, you can see both tracks kind of follow each other in sync here. But if I imported two separate tracks, then they wouldn't sync up unless you told them to. But that's for a different video. So today, we're going to right-click, and you can right-click either the audio or the video, doesn't matter. And you go up to this option up here that says Unlink. And what that does is it, well, unlinks. So you click that, and now you can move both tracks independent of each other. And that also means that if you right-click the audio track and go to clear, bam, it's done. And you can also just simply hit delete on your keyboard. And you can do this for either track. But if you were to do this with the audio and the video linked, like say you go up here, click clear, it deletes the whole thing. So that's the reason why you hit unlink first, just in case you want to delete either the audio or the video separately, but want to keep one or the other. So there you go. And with that said, this is the Andy-san. Sign up for now. Thanking you guys, Pook, for tuning into this quick tutorial on how to remove, mute, and solo audio and video in Adobe Premiere Pro. And I want to thank you guys for watching my other stuff. Also want to thank you guys for liking, the thumbs, commenting, subscribing, send a few friends to the party. And hey, as always, we'll see you next time. Catch you later, guys. Bye. Alright, and we're recording. Hey gang, Andy here. coming at you, Pook, with another Adobe Premiere Pro tutorial. And today we're going to be learning how to import video and audio into Adobe Premiere Pro. Now, for those of you tuning in, the particular version of Adobe Premiere that I'm using is Premiere Pro CC 2015. So if you guys are using a different version like CS6 or something like that, the layout's going to be a little different, but it's going to be the same general concept. So just keep that in mind. So, like I said, today we're going to be learning how to import both video and audio tracks into Adobe Premiere Pro. So I've set up this little project here, and we're going to go down to Import Media to start. Click on it, and I have an audio track and a video track. So we're just going to click this, hold Control on your keyboard, and select all. Then we're just going to hit Open. And as you can see here, both the files are in the project menu. And then all we got to do is just drag them over into the timeline here. We have the video. And then next we're going to drag the audio down here. You can just put it wherever. Bam, there you go. So it's really that simple. That's how you import audio and video tracks into Adobe Premiere Pro and drag them onto the timeline. So with that said, this is the Andy-san. Sign up for now. Thanking you guys, Pook, for tuning into this quick little tutorial video on how to import audio and video onto Adobe Premiere Pro, and for watching other stuff. Also want to thank you guys for liking with a thumbs, commenting, subscribing, sending a few friends to the party, and hey, as always, we'll see you next time. Catch you later, guys. Bye. All right, I'm recording. Hey, gang, Andy here, coming at you, Pook, with another editing tutorial. And today we're going to be learning how to make a picture slideshow in Adobe Premiere Pro. Now, for those of you just tuning in, the particular version of Adobe Premiere that I'm using is a Premiere Pro CC 2015. So if you guys are using an older version like CS6 or CS4 or whatever, the general layout's a little different, but the concepts are about the same. So let's begin. And like I said, today we're going to be learning how to make a picture slideshow. And it's just going to be a very basic one. I'm not going to get into the super complex things, so I'm just going to show you the nitty-gritty of that. So we're going to go down here to Import Media, and I've already lined up a little picture folder of my brother Raj, who at the time of this recording just graduated high school. So congrats, buddy. And as you can see, we got all these pictures here. Now we could select them all and import them, but I found a much cleaner way to do that is to select the folder that they're in, go to Import Folder. That way it just imports the folder, and it's a lot cleaner on the imported media area here. So it's not all flooded with pictures and stuff. So you just click on the folder and you can select the pictures, but we'll get into that here in a sec. Next thing we're going to import is an audio track, which is a remixed version of the H3H3 theme. So Vape Nation, y'all. So import that into the timeline as well, and now you can see a much cleaner timeline. Or not timeline, but an imported files area. So we're gonna drag the audio track onto the timeline here. Then next we're going to select all the pictures, drag them onto the timeline as well. But as you can see, we have too many pictures, or do we? But if you just wanted to just kind of trim off the edges there, you could do that as well, but what we're going to do here is just basically shorten the amount of time that all these pictures are displayed. So we're going to select them all, right-click, go to Speed Duration. And from here, as you can see, each of the pictures is displayed on screen for about 4 seconds and 29 frames. So we're going to shorten that here a little bit. And I found through trial and error that the best way to do it is around 3 seconds and 20 frames. Ripple edit, shifting trailing clips, and it's right about there. So in order to make it just on the money, we're just going to shorten that last clip just a little bit. So you can see the little red bar there. We'll just get that till it snaps right there on the frame, and there you go. Blammo. So let's see how she looks as is. Now keep in mind this is without titles or any other fancy smancy stuff. This is just the basic gist of it. So here we go. And that's just the basic gist of it here. But it does look a little boring, though. It's just pictures and video, or pictures and audio, I should say. So in part 2, I'm going to show you how to spruce it up a little bit. But that's all here for part 1. And with that said, this is the Andy-san. Signing for now. Thanking you guys, Pook, for tuning into this tutorial and for watching my other stuff. I also want to thank you guys for liking with the thumbs, commenting, subscribing. Send a few friends to the party, and hey, as always, we'll see you next time. Catch you later, guys. Bye. Alright, and we're recording. Hey gang, Andy here, coming at you, Pook, with another editing tutorial. This time, I'm going to show you how to spruce up a basic picture slideshow. So, in the last video, I showed you how to create a basic picture slideshow, and now we're going to spruce it up a little bit. So, here we go. And for those of you just tuning into this particular tutorial, the version of Adobe Premiere that I'm using is Premiere Pro CC 2015. So like I said before, if you're using CS6 or another older version of Premiere, the layout's going to be a little different, but it's going to be the same basic concept. So let's get started. So as you can see here, I have a little picture slideshow of pictures of my brother Raj, who at the time of this recording just graduated high school. So congrats, buddy. And I set it to a remixed version of the H3 theme, so Vape Nation represent. And we're going to add some transitions. We're also going to add titles, and I'm going to show you how to fade in and fade out the audio track as well. So let's begin. First, we're going to go up here to Title, add New Title, and we're just going to do a default still just to show you the basic gist of it here. And we're just going to name it, I don't know, opening title or OP title, I guess. It's not overpowered, it's just the opening title. So we're going to go over here to the very beginning, to this opening picture here, which is the first one right here. And we're just going to type in, I don't know, Raj's graduation. Then next line, don't worry if you can't see it, it's in white text, I'll fix that later. Class of 2016, so select it. We're gonna change the art style to, I don't know, how about this one, right here? Yeah, it's kind of cheesy, but you know, so we'll just put it like right here. So here we have just the basic gist. I'm not gonna get into changing colors and stuff like that. I'm just doing this just to show you guys how to do a basic title. So if I wanted to put the title into the opening picture, I could do it like this as well. And then once we're all done with that, go down here to where it says OP title in the import section, drag it onto the timeline to a video track above, so that way you can see it overlaid onto the picture. And so we're going to go to the very beginning, and then it's going to last about the first frame. So we're going to lower it to the first frame so it snaps right there. And then next thing we're going to do is add transitions to each of the pictures. So if you just have them just kind of snap into each other, it's kind of boring. So we're going to go over here to Effects, which is in the same tab area as your project. So just find where Effects is, go to Video Transitions, and we're going to go down here to a simple cross dissolve, I guess. So we're going to drag cross dissolve in between the frames here, and then we're going to zoom in just to show where it meets. Actually, let's go ahead and delete that because it didn't quite go to where I wanted it to. So we're going to go cross dissolve to where the two frames are, and I like to get it as in the middle as I possibly can. But because you also have that title up there, I think it confuses it. But you won't see that with the other stuff. So then we'll just show you, here, we'll mute this so you don't hear the audio. And we'll show you the basic transition. So just hit play. And actually back that up just a skosh. And here is the transition. It's much nicer, much smoother. And you can add different transitions as well, like we can do like a dip to black or something like that. Go right here. Same thing. So and just kind of dipped in and out. And then put in cross dissolve again. And then I'm just going to add cross dissolve to all of the pictures here. So here we go. Okay, so I just finished adding the cross dissolve effect to all the pictures here. I just kind of cut that little bit out because it's just pretty much copy paste. It's kind of boring. So now that I've added the cross dissolve effect, it's a lot smoother in the transition. So I'll just play a short little clip of it right here. And I muted the audio track so that way you guys can focus on just the video portion of it. And you can see the cross dissolve effect just kind of comes in between the frames. And next we're going to do is add another closing title sequence. So go back to title, new title, default still, and we're just going to call this ED title. Do this. Then we're going to use the same general format that we did last time, same kind of format. So we'll just do this, and we'll type in, okay, cool. Thanks for watching. And we'll just kind of keep it like that. And we can adjust it and do other things here. But this is just the basic gist of it here. So we'll go and close that out. Go down here to project files because the title will go directly into that. And you can see ED title. Drag it over to the end of the timeline here. And then we're just going to put it on the last picture. So we'll squeeze it till it snaps into that last frame there. And we'll zoom in just to make sure. Right there. Perfect. Okay. Save it real quick. And then the last thing we're going to show you here is how to do a fade in and fade out on your audio track. So because this track just kind of abruptly starts, it may be startling to some viewers, to hear a very loud track right off the bat. And conversely, at the end, it just kind of cuts off. So it's just kind of like, oh, it just kind of stopped out of nowhere. So we're going to do quick little fade in and fade outs for smooth transitions. So let's begin with the first part here. We're going to go to Effects. Then we're going to go to Audio Transitions. And the one that I like to do is the exponential fade. So we're at the beginning here. We're going to do exponential fade. Drag it right there. And you can adjust the length of the fade in. So I prefer a quicker fade in so that way it's not too obvious. So we're just going to hear how it sounds now. Unmute it there. And it's a very long fade, I think. So let's hear it. Actually, on listening to this, it's not too bad. It's a nice long fade, which actually works for this particular song. But if it was a different song, I might adjust it a little bit. But I think it works, so we'll give it a second listen. Yeah, not bad. Alrighty. So sometimes you don't luck out like that, and you have to adjust it through trial and error. But we lucked out in this case, so that's good. So now we're going to drag the exponential fade to the end of the timeline here. And let's see if we luck out just as much. So we're going to go to the ending here. And see, I like the ending to be a bit longer fade. Oops, I kind of overshot that there. So what we're going to do here is we're going to expand the fade. Just select it. Then you just stretch it out. And we'll just do it to the last frame here so it just kind of snaps in place. So let's hear what it sounds like. It's not bad. So actually we'll make it just a slightly shorter fade. And we'll do it about 2 and 20 frames. Hear what that sounds like. That's not bad. So I'll go ahead and save it. And there you go. So this concludes the tutorial on how to make a slideshow with pictures and audio with transitions and titles. And at the end of this video, I'm going to render this as a separate video so you guys can see it and hear it in its entirety, so you'll know what it looks like. So, with that said, this is the Andy-san. Signing for now, thanking you guys, Pook, for tuning in to this video and for watching my other stuff. Also want to thank you guys for liking with the thumbs, commenting, subscribing, sending your friends to the party. And hey, as always, we'll see you next time. Catch you later, guys. Bye. Alright, and we're recording. Hey gang, Andy here, coming at you, Pook, with another tutorial video. And today I'm going to show you how to do picture-in-picture in Adobe Premiere Pro. Now for those of you just tuning in, the particular version of Adobe Premiere that I'm using is Premiere Pro CC 2015. So if you guys are using an older version like CS6, CS4, whatever the case may be, just know that my particular layout is going to be a little bit different than yours, but the general concepts are going to be the same. So, with that said, let's begin. And like I said, we're going to be showing you guys how to do picture-in-picture. So first up, we're going to import some media to start off with. We're going to import this Tokyo Swan episode that I downloaded from the internet. So we're just going to bring that onto the timeline here. And then basically we're just going to be showing the same episode, but within itself. So we're going to import it again onto the timeline, and then we're going to right click, we're going to hit unlink, and that's going to unlink both the audio and the video track. So that way we can delete the audio track down here because we only really need one audio track. So now that we have two videos and one audio track, we're going to go down to this top one up here, and we're going to go to effects, and then it says here motion. So just pop that open here, and then we're going to go to scale. Now there are several ways to do this. You can have a uniform scale, which keeps it at the same aspect ratio. I prefer this, but there are certain instances where you need to turn this off, but for simplicity's sake, we'll just keep it on. So we'll just scale this back here. And as you can see, that picture is getting smaller, and then the bottom video is starting to creep into frame here. So we're just going to scale it back to about, 40.2 is fine. Click on motion, drag it to either side of the screen. You can have it up here, you can have it down here, you can have it in the middle, wherever the case may be. And then I prefer to use the little arrows on my keyboard just to get it lined up just right. And then you see picture in picture. And you can do this with different videos, but just for simplicity's sake, I decided to use the same one. So there you go. And then we'll go back to editing. And as you can see here, we got picture in picture. Pretty crazy, huh? So there you go. That's how you do picture-in-picture within Adobe Premiere Pro. And with that said, this is the Andy-san. Sign up for now. Thanking you guys, Pook, for tuning into this tutorial and for watching my other stuff. Also want to thank you guys for liking with the thumbs, commenting, subscribing, send a few friends to the party. And hey, as always, we'll see you next time. Catch you later, guys. Bye. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to record a multicam setup in OBS Studio, as well as how to edit it in Adobe Premiere Pro. Let's take a look. Okay, as you can see here, I got OBS up and all stretched out so you can see what I'm doing here. And I have a little preset here called Webcam Shootout, which is what I used for my, well, webcam shootout. So I have it a little bit modified here just for the purposes of this video. Now I don't have my second webcam hooked up, but I'll just give you the basic concept of it. So what I did here was I had video capture device here, video capture device here, and just basically let them record at the same time. So another thing I did was I basically just made the webcam video. Now I'm recording in 4:3 for the purposes of this particular video. But for the video that I did before, it was recorded in widescreen, so I was able to get to the center of the video here. So basically, I just stretched it out to where each webcam took up about half of the screen. And then I had one in the top left corner, and then I had one in the bottom right corner, so they took up about an equal amount of space. And I just kind of let them record, and then once that was all done, I imported the video footage into Premiere Pro, which is where we're going to be going next. So, see you in the next bit. Okay, so now we're back in Adobe Premiere Pro, and we're going to go ahead and edit this multicam setup. Now, Premiere has been kind of acting up on me, so I kind of did it a little bit beforehand, but I'm going to go ahead and reverse engineer it for you guys so you kind of know what to do. So, as you can see here, I have two webcams recording at the same time, as I said earlier. I had one recording basically like where my hands and stuff are, so you can see me right in here cleaning my Surface Pro 3 tablet. And this is video footage for an unboxing I did of a privacy filter that I put into my tablet, just that way you don't get a lot of looky-loos seeing what I'm doing. But this is an unboxing video that's going to be coming out very soon. I wanted to get a multi-camera angle, not like where there's like a face cam in the corner and then you can see like what I'm doing with my hands. I wanted to get like kind of a camera 1, camera 2 sort of deal going on here. So I had the cameras record everything, and what I did was imported the footage into Adobe Premiere, and then I dragged the track twice onto the timeline. And then we're going to go ahead and go to the top track here. I already have it all set up, but I'll just go through the basic layout. So you're going to go to Effects, Video Effects, Transform, and Crop. And you're just going to drag that onto your effects control. And also, before you do any of this, I should mention, you should have the bottom track output toggled off. So just go to the toggle track output here, the little eyeball. Make sure that it's turned off before you do any cropping, because both images are the exact same, so you're not going to see any difference in cropping. You could just crop the entire image out, but you won't see any difference. So just make sure the bottom track is clicked off so that way you can see the difference. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to crop, and since this particular track is for the top left corner, we're going to go ahead and crop out the bottom right corner. So I had them both at about 50% of the screen. And then I also clicked zoom, so that way it zoomed in on the image when it was all done. So we're going to go ahead and toggle this effect back in. And as you can see, it fills the entire screen. Now we're going to go ahead and toggle the track output off. and then turn the bottom track's output on. And I did pretty much the exact same thing with the cropping, but because we were cropping out the top left corner, I just switched all the values to the top left corner as opposed to the bottom right. And I still zoomed in, and we'll go ahead and click it in. And as you can see in the left corner here, you can see there's a little bit of black here. So what I did, you can tweak and peek it however you like, but I just zoomed it in just a skosh, that way everything's all filled in, and it's good enough for government. So now that you have both tracks, as you can see here, you got camera 1, camera 2, camera 1, camera 2. So you can go ahead and edit it however you like, just basically like say we'll cut here. So we just hit cut, go to about here, hit cut, and then say you want the bottom camera angle. We'll just go ahead, go to the top one here, delete it, and then it'll just play through, and then, oh, camera angle. And then go back to that, and it's just basically cutting, and then you have like camera 1, camera 2, camera 1, camera 2. And it's basically that. And so that's how you do a multicam setup in OBS and then edit it in Adobe Premiere Pro. So with that said, this is the Andy-san, signing off for now, thanking you guys, Book, for tuning into this tutorial video and for watching my other stuff. Also want to thank you guys for liking with a thumbs, comment, subscribing, send a few friends to the party, and hey, as always, we'll see you next time. Catch you later, guys. Bye. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to get started editing using Adobe Premiere Pro. Now this is designed to be a beginner's guide, so if you've never edited a thing in your life, this is the guide for you. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome to Adobe Premiere Pro, and this is just the basic layout, and depending on what version of Premiere you're using, the layout may be a little different, but the basic concept should still be the same. So for those of you wondering, I'm using Premiere Pro CC 2017, which at the time of this recording is the most current version of Premiere. So you have several different types of workspaces available here, but for the purposes of this video, we're just going to be sticking mostly with the editing workspace, and we might delve a little bit into the effects workspace, which as you can see has some different windows and all kinds of fun stuff for us to play with. But we'll just get back to editing. So in order to get started, go down to here to the project window where it says import media to start, double click it, and as you can see, I have some clips and stuff here that we'll go ahead and get started editing. So I'll go ahead and select them and then just hit open. Okay, so as you can see, they're all imported into the project menu here. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to drag this webcam footage that I took a little bit before we got started here, and we're going to click it, drag it onto the timeline here. And then as you can see, it has the video and the audio, and you can kind of scrub through and all kinds of fun stuff. So there you go. Now we're going to go ahead and add a second track. And this is just of a sunset. So let's go ahead and drag that on top right here. And as you can see, this track is much longer than the original webcam track. So we're gonna go ahead over to here. And as you can see, if you go near the end here, you'll see this little red arrow sort of bracket looking thing. That happens when you go near to the beginning or the end of things, when you have the selection tool enabled. So I'll go here to the end, and we'll just click it and drag it all the way to here, which is the end of the bottom clip here. So that way everything's all lined up, and we don't have to worry about editing like many minutes of footage that we don't need to. So, and always remember to save after most iterations. So there you go. And we got that going. And as you can see here, we have different tracks and stuff. So if you wanted to work on the webcam track and you don't wanted to see the video track up here, you'll go ahead and go to your toggle track output, which looks like a little eyeball here. And you can basically turn it on or off. And that allows you to see stuff that's on the bottom. So basically think of it as like stacking plates. So if you stack plates on top of one another, you're gonna see the topmost plate first. So if you want to see what's on the bottom or what's beneath a certain plate, you'll just toggle the track output in or out. So go ahead and toggle it out for the time being. And we're gonna go here, and as you can see, I'm not talking, I'm just kind of fumbling around and stuff. So you don't wanna begin a video like that with like 5 seconds of dead air. And I usually do this for audio editing purposes, so that way I can get a good room tone, but that'll be a video for another day. So for the purposes of this video, we're just gonna go ahead and cut that little mess out. So we're gonna go to about where I start talking. You can kind of see through the audio waveform down here, kind of where I start to talk in as the audio starts to get a little bit louder. And you can even see on like my face and stuff like that right there. Okay, so we got that all lined up. Now we're gonna go over to the left here to the razor tool. Just select that. And as you can see, a little line following us around. So we'll go ahead and match that with the blue line here, and it kind of snaps into place. And we'll go ahead and click it. And as you can see, it cut that clip into 2 sections. One was before the cut and one was after the cut. So we'll go ahead and go back to our selection tool, which is a little arrow tool up here at the top. And we're gonna go ahead, let me zoom out here real quick. We're gonna go ahead and select the clip that we don't want, which is a bunch of dead air and all that kind of stuff. We're gonna select it, and we could just simply hit delete and boom, there goes the clip. But Premiere has this fun thing called ripple delete. So you go ahead and right click, go up to here where it says ripple delete, and not only does it delete the clip, but it brings all the other clips and stuff to where that clip where that clip started rather. So that way you don't have to go ahead and drag everything over, and it just snaps into place. So it's just a fun little time saver, I think. So that'll help you save time and energy on making sure all the clips and stuff are lined up. So there you go. Oh, Jesus, I coughed. I can't believe I did that. That's so disgusting. You definitely don't want to show coughing on a YouTube video, right? So let's go ahead, scrub that little part out, and we'll go ahead and zoom in. You can see kind of where I trail off. And you can kind of see the hand there. And you can cut off the pro part so you don't see my hand moving. And you can either keep that in, or you can just get to about here-ish where it's still in focus. Go back to your chop tool right here, your razor tool. Go ahead and clip that little part. And then you're gonna go ahead and go to like the coughing and all that kind of stuff, and then you'll see where the next bit of good footage is. Okay, so we'll go ahead, zoom out to about here, go to our little cut tool, and then just select it. So we have this whole big clip of stuff that we don't want. So we're gonna go ahead, go back to the selection tool, we're gonna right click it and go to ripple delete, which, as I said before, not only deletes the clip, but moves everything else to the back to where the clip originally began. So that way you don't have to go hunting for clips and all that kind of stuff. It helps save you a little bit of time. So now that we have basically 2 clips, essentially, we're going to show you how to do transitions, both audio transitions and video transitions. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, well, Andy, what's an audio transition? Glad you asked. So we'll go over here to our little arrow, go to effects, and you see a whole bunch of effects and stuff right over here. Go to audio transitions. And you only really have one, which is a crossfade. So not a whole lot of finagling going on there. And you have 3 crossfade audio transitions. You have your constant gain, constant power, and exponential fade. So for the purposes of this video, we'll just be dealing with constant power, which 9 times out of 10 is the fade that I use in between clips. So you don't really need to bother with the other stuff unless you're like really getting into the nitty-gritty or whatever. So we'll go ahead, we'll select constant power, and we're going to drag it all the way to where that cut is. So as you can see, drag it onto the audio portion of the cut. You can see it kind of snap into place there. You can have it in like the middle. You can have it like the beginning, or you can have it at the end. Now I personally, in between clips, I like to use the crossfade, but you can also use this as a fade in or a fade out for clips. So I would probably do this at the end of the clip as well. So if you're doing a fade in, it would probably look something like this. If you're doing a fade out, it would look something like this. So for the purposes of this little part, we're just going to do the little crossfade. So we'll have it smack dab in the middle right there. And we'll go ahead and zoom in, and you can change the length. So if it's a little bit too short of a transition, you can go ahead and lengthen it as well. Just select it, and you can see the little bracket there. So you can lengthen it, or you can shorten it. Now, I personally like 10 frames, as you can see there. That's my personal preference, but, you know, different strokes for different folks and different clip transitions. So there you go. That's just a little on how to use constant fades. So that way, the idea is that there's a little audio transient effect if you're not using a fade. So it sounds more jarring and more obvious that you're cutting away without the fade. Next up, we're going to be going to video transitions, which is what most people think of when they think of transitions as far as editing goes. So still in the same little menu here, and let's just do like a wipe, just, you know, for funsies. So we'll go down to wipe, band wipe, then we'll click it and drag it onto the video portion here. You can do it at the beginning, end, or in the middle-ish. And as you can see, you can lengthen the duration, you can shorten the duration. Me personally, I'm going to go ahead and do it at about 15 frames there. So that way it's a nice transition. Okay, so say for instance you want to have a little picture inside of the picture, you know, the old picture-in-picture technique. Maybe you have like a little thumbnail of something that you want to show a picture of, or a little tiny audio clip that doesn't take up the entire screen. What you can do here is go and select, we'll just select the clip on top here. Now that we have the clip selected, we'll go up to our effects workstation, select that. And as you can see, you have a whole bunch of little effects and all that kind of stuff. So we'll go ahead and we'll go to our scale here. And as you can see, this is selected, uniform scale. So this will keep the perspective up. We'll go ahead and toggle the track output in, which will bring that sunset picture in. Then we'll go ahead and click on the scale, and we'll just scale it down to, say, I don't know, 40%. So there you go. If you have the uniform scale, it will keep the scale aspect ratio, but if you wanted to adjust the width and stuff like that, you can unclick this and then adjust as needed. But again, for the purposes of this video, we'll just keep it uniform. So from there, you go ahead and select motion. This will allow you to reposition the clip. So say you wanted it in like the top left corner, you can go ahead and put it there. You put it in the top right corner, bottom right corner, bottom left corner, whatever the case may be. I think we'll put it in the top right. Seems to be a lot of space up there. So I'll just go ahead and kind of do it like that just to make sure it's in frame there. So there you go. You have your little picture-in-picture right here, and it's still moving. But what if you wanted to have a cut in between the pictures without having a transition? So this technique is also known as using B-roll, which is like stock footage or footage of the subject that you're talking about. Just basic little transitionary footage that's basically not the talking head portion here that you see. So what you would do, and we'll just, I don't know, just cut here. So we'll go to here, go to our chop tool, razor tool, chop right there, and we'll go to about here-ish, chop right there, do the same up top, right there. Okay, go back to our selection tool, and as you can see, these are all chopped, all tracks. So we'll go ahead and select this track right here, and we'll go ahead and make the scale back to 100 so it takes up the whole screen, like so. And we'll also have to move and reposition it so it's back on screen as well. Sorry about that, I forgot. And there we go. So now it's back on screen, back in position, back at full screen. So we'll go ahead and we'll go down to the bottom track here. And as you can see, this is my webcam track right here, and it also has an audio track attached to it. So if I were to just simply delete it, the whole thing's gone. So go ahead and select the track, right-click it, and go to Unlink. And what that's going to do is it's going to, well, unlink the audio from the video track, so you can select either or. So in this case, we're going to want to keep the audio clip, but delete the video clip. So go ahead and select the video clip, delete it, and then that way it allows you to have this nice little cut, and then it'll cut back into the talking head portion here. We're also going to be editing out the last little bit here. So we'll go to our razor tool, our chop tool here. Then we'll just go ahead and chop that off. Go to selection tool, and you don't need to ripple delete this one because there's no other clips beyond this. So we'll just hit delete. And there you go. So there's your little cuts and stuff like that. So now it has a nice little end. So now that you've edited your grand masterpiece, another thing you could do is add background music. So we'll go ahead to our project window. I'm going to drag that onto the bottom audio track here. And unlike video, the audio tracks all play at the same time. So it's not really a case of what track is on top getting the most ear time, I guess. It's all a matter of volume. So we're going to go ahead and shrink this down. And as you can see, the background audio at the bottom here is a lot louder than the talking portion up here. So what you're going to do, select it and go here and make sure these are unchecked. Otherwise, it'll adjust funny. So make sure these little stopwatches are unchecked. Go to your level. And usually for me, for background and stuff, I'd say -25 to -30 would be a pretty good start. So we'll just hit -30. That way it's low enough to where it's not overpowering the dialogue, but it's loud enough to where you're able to hear it. So if you want to smooth things out, we're going to go back to our good old audio transitions. And then we're going to use constant power, and we're going to drag it on both the dialogue and the background music. So we'll drag it once, we'll drag it twice. We'll zoom in here, and I usually like to have this at about, in between 10 to 15 frames of audio, and same with the background. So I usually like to have the dialogue end first, and then the background music ends. So, and you can adjust depending on your edits and things like that. So that's just a nice little touch at the ending there. And you can also do it at the beginning as well, just to have a nice little fade in. But I prefer to have the fade out over the fade in. That's just my own personal taste, but you can do it however you like. And those are the basics of editing in Adobe Premiere Pro. The last little thing we're going to talk about here is how to export the video. So we're going to go up to File, going to go Export, Media, and you can select different formats. Now, say you just wanted to export the audio, I would recommend doing it in waveforms, so that way it doesn't compress as much. It's completely lossless, but it does result in a very big file size. That's just my own personal take. Now, if you want to export the whole video and everything, I would recommend going to H.264. You could also use .avi. You can use like .mpeg2, QuickTime, which would be a .mov. You use Windows Media, which is a .wm or WMA, WMV, I guess in this case for video. But for me, I personally like H.264. And they also have H.265, but haven't really played around with that too much. So just go ahead and select that. And it'll have like a match source high bit rate. Usually pretty decent, but I have my own personal settings right here. So I'll just select my HD 1080, 1080p, 30 frames per second selection there. And as you can see, it's in full 1080p, 1920, 1080, frame rate of 30 frames per second, which is how fast my webcam was recording. And then These are just kind of whatever. And then if you select render at maximum depth, then it's going to render at a really good quality. And then you have right here your bitrate encoding. You could do a VBR, which is variable bitrate, but I find that there's a lot of audio video syncing issues. Like sometimes the mouth moves, but the audio is a little off with variable bitrate. So always select CBR, which is constant bitrate. So that way you don't have to worry about audio video syncing issues. And the target bitrate that I usually do is about 20 megabits per second, depending on the video quality that you'd like, the file size, and all that kind of stuff. You may want to adjust accordingly, but for the purposes of YouTube, you generally don't want to go any higher than 20 megabits per second unless you're dealing with like 4K video or stuff like that. So that's what I use. And I also select use maximum render quality, so that way it renders it obviously at the highest quality. And then you go to audio right here, and these are just kind of the defaults. Audio quality high, obviously. Then I have the bitrate selected at 320, which is the highest bitrate that you can select for a video, so that way you don't get that crushed audio sound when you upload it to YouTube. Even though the compression algorithms have gotten better, there's still a little, still can be a little off if you lower the bitrate here. So definitely keep this high if anything, so that way get a nice crisp audio sound. And I prefer to have precedence over bitrate versus sample rate. That's just what I have selected. And then you can go into here, and this is just extra stuff you really don't need. So now we've got that all taken care of. You could either just simply export it right away, or you could send it to the queue. And the nice thing about the Adobe suite, the Adobe Creative Cloud suite, is that everything is connected. So you could just simply hit export and it'll export, but if you have another video that you'd like to edit, or whatever the case may be, you can't use Premiere Pro until it's all done exporting if you select it this way. So what I personally like to do is hit it in queue. And what this does, this brings up Adobe Media Encoder. So I'll give it a sec here. As you can see, Adobe Media Encoder. Take a little bit to kind of read all the settings and stuff like that. So just give it a sec here. And as you can see, all the settings and everything that we have put in, output file, location, name, all that kind of stuff is ready to go. And then all you do is just simply hit the little play button here. It'll start the queue, it'll start rendering it, and you can go back into Premiere and edit a whole new video. So yeah, that was my how to get started editing using Adobe Premiere Pro beginner's guide. And with that said, this is the Andy-san, signing off for now, and as always, we'll see you next time. Catch you later, guys. Bye. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to teach you how to use compression in Adobe Premiere Pro. So, with that said, let's get started. Okay, so here we are in Adobe Premiere Pro. Now, I recorded a quick little test video just so you guys can get an idea of what we're dealing with here as far as dealing with compression versus non-compression, and then single band compression versus multi-band compression. So this is just a quick little 1-minute video, just me talking about rando stuff. And before we begin the compression and stuff, I want to give you guys a chance to listen to what the audio sounds like before we do anything. Now, this is recorded on my Zoom H2n mic with no low cut, no compression, no filtering of any kind. This is just straight from the mic, as raw as it gets. So, let's have a listen. Nothing on my Zoom H2n mic. I'm just talking straight into the mic pretty much. It's about a foot away from me. And sorry about the bump. But anyway, the mic is about a foot away from me, kind of angling at the left side, so to be... Okay, like I said, you know, this is a pretty good mic. It records very well, but the audio does sound rather low. So we'll go ahead and add some compression to it, which will give it a nice balanced sound. So we'll go into here to Effects, go to Audio Effects, and we'll scroll down, and we'll first deal with single band compression. So we'll go to single band, drag it onto the audio waveform here, release, and now we'll go to our effects workstation up here, single band compressor, go to edit, and it brings up this window right here. When I was first learning how compression works, I looked it up on a bunch of different websites and watched a bunch of YouTube tutorial videos, and they gave this very long scientific explanation of what compression does to the audio waveform. And after watching and reading and all this kind of stuff, I still didn't know what it did. So it took a couple more YouTube videos for me to kind of get it, but I'll give the very simple explanation to you guys here. And if you'd like to know more about how compression affects the audio waveform, please, by all means, the information is out there. But I'll just give you the layman's version of it. So in the single band compressor window, we have several settings here. And the first one is threshold. Now what this is it's basically the point in the audio waveform where the compressor starts to kick in. So think of it as like a ceiling. So you're jumping and jumping, and then you bump your head on the ceiling. So that point where you bump your head on the ceiling is where the compressor takes place, or begins to take into effect. So I usually like to set it at about -20 to -25 decibels, usually. So say for instance, it's -20 decibels. So once the audio waveform gets loud enough to cross the -20 decibel threshold, then the compressor kicks in. So that leads us to the next thing here, which is the ratio, which is the amount of compression or attenuation that the waveform is given once it passes the threshold. So typical ratios you may see is like 2:1, 3:1, 4:1, 5:1, upwards of 10:1 is the typical ratios. So what this is think of it in reverse. So instead of 10:1, it's 1:10. So every time the audio waveform passes the -20 decibel threshold, it gets cut into either a 1/10, a 1/5, a 1/4, a 1/3, or even in half. The idea is, behind compression, just think of it as if you had the physical waveform in your hand, if it was a tangible object and you had it in between your hands and you were literally squeezing it or compressing it, if you will. And that's basically what a compressor does, is it makes the loud parts of the waveform quieter, so that way it's more even with the quieter parts. And so it does this through the threshold and ratio. Now, the other two things here, attack and release, beyond the presets, I typically don't deal with these too often, but I'll give you a basic analogy of how these work. So attack, if you imagine like a door or something like that. So attack is the speed at which you open the door, and release is the speed at which you close the door. So you could have something that kicks in really fast, or just kind of gradually opens, and vice versa. So I typically don't mess with these beyond the preset settings, like I said, because I think they do a pretty good job at it. But if you'd like to mess with it, please be my guest. And the last little thing we have here is the output gain. Now, with all this compression, the audio waveform is going to appear to sound louder. So what I do is I usually put a gain cut here at around -3 to -5. So in this case, we'll err on the side of caution and put a -5 decibel cut here. So I typically do this to avoid peaking, which means that the audio waveform goes beyond the 0 decibel range. And then it starts to distort, and it just doesn't sound very good. So that's called clipping. Okay, so I found a good preset for this particular waveform here. It's called Vocal Booster. Because the audio is very quiet, this does a really good job at letting you really hear the difference when it's turned on and off. So we're first gonna play it with it off, and then I'm just gonna turn it on and just kind of toggle it so you guys can hear the difference. So here we go. The mic is about a foot away from me, kind of angling at the left side, so it'd be this side right here. It's about here-ish, about a foot away from my mouth, and I'm just talking directly at you guys. So that way you guys get a nice little test clip, and you can hear the difference between non-compression and compression, and also single band compression versus multi-band compression. So with that, okay, so that is just a quick little taste of what single band compression can do. So we'll go ahead, and now I'll show you how multi-band compression works. So we'll go ahead and go back into our effects window here, go to audio effects, and we'll scroll down to multi-band compression. And we'll go ahead and drag it onto the waveform here. Go to our effects workspace, and it's right there. I already deleted the single band compression, so that way we can work on this. And it's laid out about the same, but there's a whole mess of new buttons and new stuff for us to mess with. So now I gotta explain to you guys the difference between single band compression and multi-band compression. So with single band compression, it basically compresses the entire waveform. And what multi-band compression does is it compresses the waveform based off of frequency bands. So you have your lows, your low mids, your mid highs, and then your highs. So depending on the frequency bands here, it may compress it more or less. So say for instance, you had too much low end and you wanted to cut that out, you can compress that a bit more. Or if you wanted to bring up a little bit of the mid highs because your speaking voice just doesn't quite cut through, you could do that as well. So it's a good way for you to, really EQ your audio waveforms. So we have a whole bunch of presets and stuff like that here. We'll just go through to, between broadcast and pop master, which are two of my favorite presets when dealing with dialogue. So we'll go back into our editing workspace, and then we'll go ahead and rewind this a little bit. And then I will turn this off, and then I will bring it back in. So let's begin. Little webcam test for the tutorial video that I'm about to record. So I have no compression, no low cut, no nothing on my Zoom H2n mic. I'm just talking straight into the mic pretty much. It's about... And now we're gonna see how the Pop Master changes it. So the broadcast one is a general, very even multi-band compression, but the Pop Master has a very big emphasis on boosting the vocal parts. So we'll go ahead and hear the difference. So it'll first be off, and then we'll turn it back on. About a foot away from me, and sorry about the bump. But anyway, the mic is about a foot away from me, kind of angling at the left side, so it'd be this side right here. It's about here-ish, about a foot away from my mouth, and I'm just talking directly at you guys. So that way you guys get a nice little test clip and you can hear the difference between... Okay, so you guys probably heard there's a definite boost in the high mids to highs, so that way you can hear the dialogue a little bit better versus when it's non-compressed. And we'll just go in and give you guys a basic gist of what these do. So as you can see in the different frequency bands here, you have basically the same thing that was on the single band. You have your threshold, gain, ratio, attack, release, same basic things. And then you can either have it solo it, so that way it only compresses, in this case, the lows, or you can just have it bypass to where it doesn't compress this at all. So that's a neat little thing. So if you only wanted to compress a specific frequency band, you can do that. And right here you can see the crossover frequencies. So this is where the frequency band controls kick in. So for the lows, you have the 0 to, in this case, 120. And then for the mids, you have the 120 to 2000, and then 2000 to 10,000 for the highs. And then over here, you also have a limiter, which is really good if you're worried about compressing it too much and it starting to peak. You can put a limit on the amount of overall gain and loudness that you have here. So this is definitely very useful as well. But in the interest of safety, I always put a little gain cut in here as well. So usually -3 or -5, like I said, works pretty good. You don't have to worry about it too much, and then you can compress to your heart's content for the most part. So there you go. So yeah, that was my tutorial on how to use compression in Adobe Premiere Pro. And if you guys would like to learn a little something about Premiere Pro or Adobe Audition, feel free to leave me a little something in the comments down below in the boopity-boops, and I will be sure to make a video on it. So with that said, this is the Andy-san, signing out for now, and as always, we'll see you next time. Catch you later, guys. Bye. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to add the Nashville filter effect from Instagram onto your videos all through Adobe Premiere Pro. So now we are in Adobe Premiere Pro, and I dragged a little bit of footage from one of my old Andy Japandy episodes just to show off this neat effect. First we're going to go up to our project window. We're going to right click our project, go to New Item, and then select Color Matte. And then select that. And then we're going to pick a nice tan color. So we're going to hit F6DDAD. Now select a nice tan color for us. Hit OK. Call it Color Matte or whatever you want. Drag the Color Matte onto the timeline above the video footage. Drag it so it fills it up all the way. Then we're going to select Color Matte. We're going to go to Opacity. And then we're going to select Multiply for our blend mode, and that's going to give us these nice tan look. I don't like the opacity up all the way, so what I will do is I'll bring it down to, let's say 60%, just so it's not overly tan and you get a little bit of the sharpness. And then next we're going to go back to our project window, right click our project, go to New Item, go to Adjustment Layer, and then hit OK. Drag the adjustment layer on top of the color matte, drag it all the way, select the adjustment layer, and now we're going to go into our effects. So the first effect we're going to deal with is in the obsolete folder. I'm going to drag RGB curves onto here. Next we're going to go to adjust, and then we're going to drag levels onto here. So the first thing we want to do, guys, is go to levels, go all the way down to where it says B stands for blue. We're going to go to our black output level. We're going to drag it. Most people usually do it about halfway-ish here. I don't like it to be that blue, so for a more subtle effect, I would choose about 90. So you get enough of the blue without it being like overly blue. And you can adjust accordingly to whatever video footage that you're using. So next we're going to go to RGB curves, and we're going to go to the master curve here, and we're just going to put in a nice little S curve. So select a point here, a point in the middle, and a point about here-ish. This bottom point here, we're just going to curve it down a little bit. Then for this top point here, I'm gonna raise it just a skosh, about here-ish I'd say. And then we can adjust the middle accordingly, just so you can get that nice little S-curve going on. And it's just that easy, guys. There you go. There's the Nashville effect. So that's what it looks like before. And then adding in everything else, ta-da! There it is after. Like I said, guys, it's just that easy. So yeah, that's how you add the Nashville filter effect from Instagram onto your videos, all through Adobe Premiere Pro. So with that said, this is the Andy San. Sign out for now, and as always, we'll see you next time. Catch you later, guys. Bye. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to adjust timeline scrolling in Adobe Premiere Pro. So one of the most annoying things for me to deal with as an editor is when I'm dealing with a lot of these small little segments and I just hit play and my playhead goes off the page and it just like switches to a new page. So if I need to go back to do something, I got to kind of reposition the playhead, and I'm like, I think it's around here somewhere. And it's just very annoying to deal with. So today we're going to be fixing that problem. First step is going up to Edit, going down to Preferences, and then scrolling down to Timeline. Just click on that. And then you see here Timeline Playback Auto Scrolling. By default, it's set to page scroll. So once the playhead goes off the page, it just switches it to a new page. So you have two other options here. You have no scroll and you have smooth scroll. Now, we're going to look at smooth scroll first. Now, what that does is it sets the playhead directly in the center, has it fixed, while the timeline just kind of plays around it. So you can move it around, but it'll still be fixed in the center. Some people like using it that way. Me personally, I prefer no scroll. And what no scroll does is once the playhead reaches the end of the page, it just keeps going until you press pause. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to fix playback lag in Adobe Premiere Pro. So one of the main problems I've been dealing with as I edit more and more 4K footage is the fact that my monitor here sometimes lags as I'm playing back stuff on the timeline. And so one way to remedy that is to use proxy files. Now, proxy files are basically just lower resolution copies of the original files that your computer can more easily work with and play back smoothly on the timeline. So there are two ways to create proxy files in Adobe Premiere Pro, and we'll be looking at both of those today. So one way is to go into your project menu here, and we'll just select some clips here, and we'll just right click, go down to proxy, and we'll select create proxies. And then from here, you can adjust your preset to as low or as high as you need it. For me, I prefer 720p, so that's 1280 by 720, H.2.4. Just hit OK. And then it'll open up Adobe Media Encoder, which will encode the proxy files. And before using proxies, make sure your Manage Proxies button is enabled in blue here. And if you don't have it, go to your button manager, and it looks like this little button right there. And now, as you can see, the playback is nice and buttery smooth. And then when you're ready to render, be sure to have the Manage Proxies button disabled before you render. Now, the next way that you can use proxies is by starting off with it in the new project menu. So you want to, while you're in the new project menu, go to Ingest Settings, click Ingest, and then click this little drop-down menu here. Go to Copy and Create Proxies. And then from here, you can go to the different preset. My personal favorite is the 1280 by 720. That's 720p, H.264. Keep everything the same here, and then hit OK. And then as you drag new stuff onto the timeline, it'll just automatically create proxies for you. And just make sure the Enable Proxies button is enabled and in blue. And once again, guys, I want to remind you that before you render your project, to disable proxies before doing so. Otherwise, you will render the proxy files, and that's going to be a much lower resolution than you're expecting. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to adjust timeline playback speed while editing in Adobe Premiere Pro. Now right now I have up an old project of mine from my good old buddy Tikio Sam, and he likes to record a lot of really long videos, and in order for me to get these out to him in a timely manner while still putting in the pop-ups and other stuff that he requests, I use different playback speeds when playing back the video while I'm editing, so I can scrub through these a lot faster than just playing it back at normal speed. So the keys you need to learn are J, K, and L. What J does when you first hit it is that it reverses the speed. So if we just play this back at normal speed,
their research, so to speak.
It just plays it in reverse. Now, if you hit K, it just pauses the video, like so.
Put into practice their...
And then if you hit L, it increases the speed.
Some people think that, but like most of the time, these guys who are trolls, that's exactly what they're doing, they're trolling. They don't mean it, like a majority of them don't mean it, they're just trying to...
And you can just keep hitting L to further increase the speed, but it becomes a little less intelligible as you do it.
For the lulz, pretty much.
Then after a while, you can't even hear any audio at all. What I like to do is speed it up, and then I use the Shift key to slightly increase or decrease the speed. So we'll hit play, then I'm going to hit Shift L, and what that does is it slightly increases the speed.
I fucking can't remember his name, but it was something stupid like Sell You Money 2014 something. And he's like, hey, I'm going to make an app, Sam, and it's going to be like, it's going to get English people involved in stuff, blah, 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 in Japan.
And that's really good, especially if you're looking for a lot of audio cues for editing and things like that. But what happens if you just hit L and it goes by way too fast, but you want to just slow it down as it's playing rather than just hit pause and start over and recalibrate? All you got to do is hit play, then hit L, and then if it's like too fast, just hit Shift J, and what that does is it slightly decreases the speed.
I'm going to give you 40% of the company, but you got to do all the work when it comes to... I was like, yeah, dude, that's the case, so you're totally right there. And so it's just like, so another time that's true, the points that are, investment, so it's like, nice and good feeling, like, you can get a trade YouTube and everything. It's like you have balls fucking, like, balls dick out, fully right, ready to go, slam right in there. But at the same time, you gotta, don't be angry when people give you such, hard advice, because at the end of the day, this isn't like 2002 where there's like shitty Google and, dial-up modems and shit, like, you can...
And that's how you can adjust the speed when playing back. And this is very useful for really long projects, such as these Tikio rants, podcasts, and other things. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to teach you how to sound like Venom with Adobe Audition. After that, I'm also going to show you how to achieve the same effect for free using Audacity. So with that said, guys, here we go. And right now we're in Adobe Audition. I just put together a little clip of a Venom quote, just dragged it into the timeline here, and we're just going to listen to how it sounds without any effects or anything like that, just to give you guys a little baseline of what we're working with. So here we go. That's where you are wrong. It's not about control or following orders like a soldier. It's about us. We are Venom. Now what we're going to do is we're going to drag the same file onto the timeline right below, or the track below rather. We're going to select it. We're going to go up here to Effects, go to Time and Pitch, then go down to Pitch Shifter. And then we're going to go here to semitones. We're going to go and select -6. You can leave the cents at 0. Cents are just kind of like a small incremental change. My best results come from just having the cents at about 50. I'm just going to go ahead and X out of that. And now I'll let you hear how it sounds.
That's where you are wrong. It's not about control or following orders like a soldier. It's about us. We are Venom.
So in the next little bit, I'm going to show you how to achieve the same exact effect for free using Audacity. Alrighty, so here we are in Audacity. I already drug both the clips in, so we're basically going to do the same exact thing we did in Audition. We'll just highlight the bottom clip, go up here to Effect, go to Change Pitch. And then I already have it set up here, so you're going to want -6 semitones, or 6 semitones down as I like to call it. Hit OK. And then we'll just hit playback.
That's where you are wrong. It's not about control or following orders like a soldier. It's about us. We are Venom.
Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to teach you how to use automatic mask motion tracking in Adobe Premiere Pro. So here we are in Premiere. I just dragged an old clip of mine on the timeline just to show off this effect, which can be used to blur out faces as well as license plates, home address numbers, and just basically anything you don't want to be shown on camera. Just go ahead, select the clip, go into Effects, go to Video Effects, then Blur and Sharpen, and then go down to Gaussian Blur. And we're just going to drag this over here. Depending on the detail of how much you want blurred out, you might have to adjust blurriness accordingly, but for the purposes of this demonstration, we're going to be blurring out my face and then using the ellipse mask to track it. If you wanted to do like license plates or something a bit more square, you could use this one. And if it's something a bit irregularly shaped, you can also use the free draw Bezier. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and hit blurriness at 100. Then we're going to select repeat edge pixels so you don't get this weird vignette effect. Then we're going to select the ellipse mask. We're just going to make it into a little circle-y thing. Then we're basically just going to go to the first frame. Then we're going to resize the mask to the size of my face here. And we're going to leave a bunch of extra room because I do kind of weave in and out of the camera. So that way it covers my face, my hair. So if you go over to the mask controls here, you can see mask path, and that's what we're going to be dealing with today. You can have it track backwards a frame, have it track completely backwards. So say for instance, I show up about halfway into the clip and then just kind of dip out for the rest of it. You can have it track backwards from where I leave the clip and then just kind of go from there. But for the purposes of this video, once again, we're just going to be tracking forward. So you just select this, and it will slowly track frame by frame my movement, and it'll keep the mask on there. Now, depending on how fast and how rigid my movements may be, the mask may kind of stop tracking. So that's why it's always good to kind of have your mouse over the stop button here just to see if it kind of loses tracking, so you can just hit stop and then get it back into position so that way you don't lose track. No pun intended. Anyway, we'll just hit stop here just to show you the effect here. As you can see, the ellipses is following my head movements. So I'll go back to the first frame and just hit play to show how it follows my head movements. So yeah, that's how you can use automatic mask motion tracking in Adobe Premiere Pro. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to teach you how to apply transitions to multiple clips at once in Adobe Premiere Pro. So here we are once again in Premiere, and I got an old video clip of mine that we're just going to use as an example, and I just cut it up into multiple little clips here. What we're going to do is we're going to highlight all the clips that we want transitions. We're going to go to our effects, go to video transitions, go down to dissolve, and then we're going to see here that cross dissolve is the default transition because it has a little blue outline around it. So all you have to do is just hit Shift and D, and it's going to apply that cross transition to all the clips that you selected. Say for instance you don't want cross dissolve to be the transition that you use. Say you want it to be dip to white, for instance. So I'm just going to undo that. Then we're going to right click, dip to white. And we're going to set selected as default transition. Then as you can see, it's now has the little blue surroundy box around it. So we're going to go back to our clips, reselect them, and hit Shift D. And it's going to apply the default transition, which is now a dip to white. So yeah, that's how you can apply transitions. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to teach you how to automatically sync audio tracks in Adobe Premiere Pro. So what I typically do to sync up my in-camera audio with my external audio source, I do either 3 claps or 3 snaps. And then I would line the external audio track with the in-camera audio using these 3 spikes here generated by either the claps or in this case snaps. And then I would go ahead and cut the audio accordingly. But there's actually a much easier method to do this. So what you would do is you would highlight the tracks that you want to synchronize, right click and just go to synchronize. And then from there you can select either a start or an endpoint to synchronize it with, or you can use an audio track to synchronize it. So in this case we'll select track 1, hit OK. So that's one way to do it, but what if you didn't do any claps or snaps to synchronize the audio? Well, just go ahead and do the same thing. Select the audio and video file, go ahead and go to synchronize, and once again select track 1, hit OK. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to show you how to enhance performance in Adobe Premiere Pro. And so first things first, we're going to go to Edit, Preferences, and then scroll down to Media. And from here, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to disable our growing files. Now, what are growing files? They're basically files that are being written and will grow in length as they're being ingested in Premiere. So typically that's live captures, live recordings, stuff like that. So if your workflow doesn't call for files like that, it's best to just simply disable that. So it's one less thing that Premiere has to worry about as you're working on stuff. And so the next thing that we'll do is optimize our media cache. Now, ideally, you'll want your media cache folder to be on your fastest non-operating system drive, if possible, and preferably the fastest one if you have multiple hard drives. And so while we're here, we can go ahead and delete unused media cache files. This will clean the media cache database. Now, depending on how much you use Premiere, I would recommend to just periodically delete unused media cache files. If you're a casual user, probably once a month. If you're a video editor like myself who does a lot of projects, it would be best to delete them maybe every week, every other week. You can also have Premiere automatically delete your cache files. Now you can do this based on the file's age or if the cache exceeds a certain limit. Now I recommend a certain limit just because I don't want to have to face hard drive issues later on as far as space issues go. So for me, I have Adobe automatically delete the oldest cache files when the overall cache exceeds 10 gigabytes. Now keep in mind, this is for the oldest cache files, so it'll just delete the oldest ones as it reaches the 10 gigabit limit. I would highly recommend to periodically delete your media cache files to free up hard drive space. And you can also delete your peak files, but that's generally not going to net you a whole lot of hard drive space. And so next we're going to be going to memory to adjust the RAM reserved for other applications. Now, typically what you see in other tutorials is they would recommend that you give as much RAM as possible to Adobe, so that way it can use the most RAM for rendering and all that sorts of stuff. But I found that if I give too much RAM to it, in my particular case, then it affects system stability issues. So I would recommend just doing little trial and error methods to see what works best for you. So in my case, I've given a quarter of my RAM to Adobe while keeping the rest of the 3/4 for other applications. And that's the one that works for me. And also be sure to optimize your rendering for performance, not so much for memory. And so next we'll go to Playback, and we'll be sure to enable Mercury Transmit. And basically what Mercury Transmit is it's used to preview projects to an external video device, such as another monitor or a TV. And so if your workflow doesn't call for a second monitor or some other external video capturing device, then it's best to just disable this option so that way Premiere has one less thing to run. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to be showing you another method on how to fix playback lag in Adobe Premiere Pro. So after my first tutorial on how to fix playback lag came out, a lot of people came to me asking questions on if there was another method on how to fix playback lag, and we'll be looking at one today. And so this method involves pre-rendering parts of a sequence, especially the ones that present playback difficulty, like, for example, my edited by the Andy logo. Oftentimes the footage lags and sometimes you don't even see the GIF here. So we'll go ahead, and what you do is you simply go to the beginning point, you hit I on your keyboard, which will create an in point. Then you go to the end here, which will just go all the way to the end of this particular clip, and we'll hit O for the out point. And then we'll go up to sequence, then we'll render into out. And so depending on the size and complexity of the clips in question, it may take a little bit for your computer to render it all. This particular section took my computer about 2.5 minutes to completely render out, so your mileage may vary. But now, as you can see up here, we have a green part of the timeline. This indicates that this sequence is rendered. So we'll go ahead and go to beginning and hit playback. And as you can see, nice, buttery smooth, not a problem whatsoever. And so something to keep in mind is if you decide to alter your rendered section, it will show up on the timeline here, but it will still keep the unrendered sections. As you can see here, once I moved the GIF, it became the yellow part of the timeline. And so if you decide to delete your rendered files, just simply go up to Sequence, and then go to Delete Render Files, and then hit OK. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to show you how to do slow motion in Adobe Premiere Pro. And so what we have on the timeline here are 4 separate clips at 4 separate frame rates. This first one here is at 120 frames per second, this one at 60, this one at 30, and this one at 24. The first method we'll be looking at is simply changing the speed duration of the clip to match the sequence's frame rate of 24 frames per second. So the easiest way to do that is simply to select the clip, right click, go to speed duration, and in this case, since we're on a 24 frames per second timeline and we're using a 120 frames per second clip, you will slow down the speed to 20%, which will put it at 24 frames per second. And then you can just continue to go down the line and do it this way. For 60 frames per second, you will put it at 40%. For 30 frames per second, you would put it at 80%. And then the 24 frames per second clip, you'd obviously leave that alone. So now the second way that you can use slow motion in Adobe Premiere Pro is to use the interpret footage method. Now we'll go ahead and go to our project menu here. We'll select the 120 frames per second clip once again. We'll right click, go to modify, and go to interpret footage. And here you can go up to frame rate, and it's using its current frame rate of 120 frames per second. We'll go ahead and select this and put it at the 24 frames per second of the sequence, and then we'll hit OK. And then what this is going to do is basically take the same clip at the same length it was at 120 frames per second, but slow it down to 24 frames per second, as you can see here. And so the third way to do slow motion is to use time remapping. Now, the easiest way to do this is to make sure this video clip is nice and big, then right-click your effects, go to time remapping, and select speed. And then from there, you can select this little gray bar here. You can raise or lower to increase or decrease the speed. Then it adjusts the file size accordingly. And so the fourth method for doing slow motion is to use keyframes in time remapping, also commonly known as speed ramping. So we'll go ahead and we'll go back to our time remapping, go to speed, and we'll just add a keyframe right there. And then we'll go ahead to the part of the clip after the keyframe, and we'll just go ahead and slow it down to 20%. And then from there, you can use these little arrow keys to adjust the ramping or the transition from normal speed to slow speed. And then you can also adjust the curvature here as well. We'll go ahead and kind of spread this out a bit so you get a nice, solid ease into it rather than just a sudden switch. And then you can also add another keyframe here as your out point as well. So we'll go ahead and raise this up to 100% once again. And then we can adjust the little arrow keys here, little in and out points, to make it more of a ramp, hence the name speed ramp. And then it'll ramp back to 100% speed. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to teach you how to easily do the smooth zoom blur transition effect in Adobe Premiere Pro. So what I have here are just two really quick clips on the timeline. So first thing you want to do is drag the first clip to the video track right above. And then what you're going to do is where the two clips change, you're going to go back 6 frames. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then you're going to move the second clip over to where that's at. And then next you're going to go to your effects, and then you're going to look up transform. And it's under video effects and the distort folder, not to be confused with the transform folder. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to drag the transform onto the top clip. And then the main things we're going to deal with are scale and position. What we're going to do is we're going to start the little time watch here so we get some keyframes. I'm going to go over, and then I'm going to change the scale to 300. Then as you can see, because the main subject is on the far right, we're not really focusing in on the subject. You're mostly just seeing like the guy in the back and part of his thumb. What we're going to do is we're going to change the position. Now, the easiest way to do this is to go up here to motion to find the right position. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn off transform for the time being, go up to motion, change the scale to 300 so it matches, and then we're going to play with the position so we get the right position. And then I like to have it to where the main subject fills the frame. Eyes are usually a nice key point to transition to. And so in this case, the position is negative 374.1 to 555.7. So we're going to go ahead in here and change it to that. And then we're going to go ahead and make sure that the motion has been reset. And now what we're going to do is have these keyframes repositioned. We're basically going to go to the end of the first clip, go 1, 2, and 3. So we're going to do 3 keyframes, or 3 frames rather, back, and then adjust the keyframes here accordingly. And then the next thing we want to deal with is we're going to uncheck the Use Compositions shutter angle. And then we're going to go down to shutter angle. What a lot of people like to do is change the shutter angle to maybe like 180, but for the best blur, we're going to put it up to maximum at 360. And then we'll go ahead and copy transform. And then we'll just turn off the top clip for the time being. Then we'll go to the bottom clip and we'll go ahead and paste it there. And what you're going to do is you're going to reposition the keyframes because all this stuff's already been done for you. So we're just going to go to where this starts, and then we're going to take the end clip, or the end keyframe rather, and move it to there. You'll notice that the position isn't quite the same in this one. It's focusing more on the other subject. And since our subjects in the second clip are more in the center of the frame, we'll have to readjust the position. So we'll go ahead, go over here, turn off transform, go up to motion, change the scale again, and then I want to have both subjects in frames. I like to, again, focus on the eyes, having that be like a recurring theme here, and then we'll just kind of split it around where the nose is at. So we'll just kind of keep it about there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to copy the position right up here down to where the transform is, and you're going to reset the motion. And then before you turn transform back on, what you'll want to do is change the keyframe. So we'll have it here. And then what we'll do is we'll move this 3 frames to the right. 1, 2, 3. And then we'll move these other keyframes right here. And since these are at default position, we don't have to change those at all. And so what we'll do is we'll do a little frame by frame so you can see it zoom in and out, and then we'll do it at full playback. So as you can see, it's focusing in on his face, his eyes, and then you can see the 2 eyes here as it zooms out, and it's back to normal. And at full playback, it'll look a little something like this. And it's just that easy. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to teach you how to remove hum and rumble from audio in Adobe Premiere Pro. So what I have here on the timeline is just a quick little clip of Eric Surf 6 on a train in Japan, and there's a lot of like low level rumble as the train's moving and as like the air conditioning and stuff is running, so you get a lot of that kind of low frequency rumble. So I'll just let you give a little listen and then we're going to show you how to fix it.
Points. Did you add another? 65, you got 435, you got exactly 500. So you win. The prize is...
Okay, so this is actually a very simple fix. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into our effects, go to audio effects, and then go down to parametric equalizer. I'm just gonna drag that onto here, and then we'll just go to edit. And then as you can see, we can adjust a bunch of different frequencies. We have a low frequency shelf and a high frequency shelf. We'll just go up here to presets, and then we'll go to high pass. And this can generally remove a lot of that low level rumble that's caused by air conditioning, in this case moving train, and just a lot of that kind of low rumble stuff. You see this a lot in like cities. So if you want to eliminate that kind of low level rumble, this is a very easy way to do it. And of course from here you can kind of tweak it and peak it if you want to, but generally this is more than enough to eliminate that. So now we're going to go ahead and listen to how it sounds with it on.
You win a beer. Kieran, a beer. That's right. How old are you? 18. Oh, too bad. The drinking age in Japan is 20.
And so as you've heard, the background low level rumble, hum, and all that kind of stuff has been eliminated. You can go into this a bit further by tweaking the equalizer settings. You can also add an adaptive noise reducer if you'd like, but this is just the general basic way to eliminate just that background rumbly noise. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to teach you how to crop video and images in Adobe Premiere Pro. So what we have here on the timeline is just a quick little clip as well as a transparent image, which we'll get into here in a bit. So first thing you want to do is select your clip, which is already selected. Go over to your effects window, go to video effects, go down to your transform folder, and then go to crop. Alternatively, you can just search for crop here in the search window, but we'll just do it this way. So we'll drag it on over to the clip. And from here, you can crop out whatever side you want, as much as you want, but it does leave this black bar here. So what you can also do, if you don't want the black bars, you can have it zoom in. Say, for instance, you just wanted to focus, in this case, on her face. So we'll go ahead and just crop to about her wrist here. We'll click zoom, and it'll stretch out the image. Now, obviously, this image is a little too extra stretched, but you guys get the idea. And then to reset this crop, you just hit the little reset effect here. Boom. And so if you wanted to do this to images, basically the same thing. So we'll go ahead and scale this image up here real quick so you guys can better see it. And then we'll just drag crop onto there. And you can do the same exact thing. And it's just that easy. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to teach you how to recover projects in Adobe Premiere Pro. So say you're working on a project in Premiere like one I have up right now, and for some unexplained reason, Premiere just crashes. It happens, it's gotten better over the years, but it does still continue to happen. And you might be worried that all your work has been lost forever, but fear not. Premiere does have your back in something called the autosave feature. By default, the autosave feature is located in the same area where your project file is, and you can change that, which we'll discuss later. And so what we have here is the folder with all of the assets for the particular project I was working on. This is also the location of the project file. And as you can see up here, we have the Adobe Premiere Pro autosave. So we'll just give this an open. And as you can see here, we have some autosave project files. So we can go to different points of me working on the project. And so this is not only good for recovering lost projects due to crashes or system instability or whatever the case, it can also be good for recovering old versions of projects. So say for instance, you didn't really like the first edit, or if you're doing client work, in my case, your client didn't like the first edit and wanted to instead go back to the original edit. Now, If you didn't save 2 separate versions of that project, you can also go through your autosave feature and open up the original. And as you can see here, here is what my project file originally looked like before I did all the nice clean-cut editing. And so before we wrap up this tutorial, I also want to go over some autosave features. So I'll go up here to Edit, go to Preferences, and then down to Autosave. And so here's the preferences window for autosave. As you can see here, not a whole lot of options to go through, but these are the defaults, which work great for me. But if your workflow calls for something different, highly recommend changing it if that's the case. But if not, just leave them as is. So as we see here, automatically saves projects just basically enables the autosave, which I'd recommend 100%. Leave it on all the time. There should not be a situation where you need this off. And from here, you can adjust how often autosave saves. By default, it's every 15 minutes, but you can change that to like every 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever minutes. And then maximum project versions, 20. And then you can also have autosave save the current project. I don't particularly recommend this in case you're working on different versions of the project or if you're experimenting or whatever. I just recommend just keeping it as is. And then the next thing we can deal with as far as autosave goes is within our project settings. So go up to File, Project Settings, and then go to Scratch Disks. And from here, we can change the path of not only where our video and audio and all that stuff are, we can change the autosave path as well. Now, these are, again, the defaults, which work great for me, but if your workflow calls for something different, or you want things saved in different spots, then by all means, feel free to change it. So the one situation I could see where you would want to change this is if you're wanting your autosave files on a different hard drive, just in case your hard drive crashes. So you can do same as project, or you can put it elsewhere. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to teach you how to recover a missing timeline in Adobe Premiere Pro. So what we have up here is just a project I just got done working on, and say for instance you don't have this nice lovely timeline, it just goes bye-bye for some reason. You're like, oh my gosh, where's my timeline at? Now the easiest way to fix this is to go to your project folder, then scroll down to find a sequence. Now the sequence icon looks like this, and you can also hover over it and it'll say sequence. And all you have to do is click on it, and it's just that easy. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to teach you how to use Auto Reframe in Adobe Premiere Pro. So say you have a 16:9 widescreen video that you want to convert to 9:16 vertical. You would go up to Sequence, Settings, and then just reverse the ratios here. But in doing so, you crop the image and then you get all this letterboxing effect in the way as well. So what Auto Reframe does is it properly resizes the frame, and it also tracks the main subject in focus. So all you have to do is go up to Video Effects, go down to Transform, then go down to Auto Reframe and drag it onto the clip. And from there, Auto Reframe automatically analyzes the clips and it goes from there. And so if you want to reframe an entire sequence, all you'd have to do is select the sequence, go up to Sequence, then go down to Auto Reframe Sequence. And from there, you can choose your aspect ratio and hit Create. And it'll automatically do it for you. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to teach you how to automatically follow a subject with Auto Reframe in Adobe Premiere Pro. This tutorial was requested by Dan Newman on my recent Auto Reframe tutorial. So Dan, this one's for you. And so right now I have on the timeline just a little quick clip of Gary Vee at a conference, and as you can see here, he's moving around the stage and he's kind of far, so we do have a lot of room to play with here. So first thing you do, select your clip, go up to Sequence, then go to Auto Reframe Sequence, and I'll pick the default, just square. So we'll hit Create, and it'll create a whole new sequence in square for us. And so now that you have the square sequence all lined up, we'll go up to Sequence, go to Sequence Settings. And then we'll change the frame size from square back to 16:9. So we'll change this to 1920. Now you'll notice because it tracks the subject, there's a lot of these pillar boxes and stuff that'll appear as he's moving across stage. The one way to combat this would be to just zoom in a whole bunch. So we'll zoom in about 200%. And I'll play it from the beginning.
This talk as well. I've been getting some context to the audience makeup And so obviously a very entrepreneurial crowd. There's a lot going on. It seems like a good amount of you have some context for me. I'm sure some of you don't. But what I really want to speak about is really just the current state of things, right?
And it's just that easy. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to teach you how to auto-create vertical videos for TikTok and Instagram using Auto Reframe in Adobe Premiere Pro. And so what we're going to do is we're going to select our video, go up to Sequence, and then go down to Auto Reframe Sequence. And from there you have some aspect ratios to choose from, or you can put in your own custom one. But in this case, we'll just select vertical 916. And you can also adjust your motion preset as well, but the default works pretty good. So we'll hit create. And so now that we have the sequence all done, I'll just play you a small little snippet of it just so you guys can get an idea. And it's just that easy. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to teach you how to fix the black screen display problem in OBS Studio. So as you guys know, I use OBS Studio to record these video editing tutorials, but since moving over to a laptop a couple months ago, I've been having so much trouble trying to get them to record because whenever I would play a sequence on the timeline, I would just get this black video on here. And I looked up all kinds of different information to try to figure out what was going on, and I just couldn't pin it down until today. So if you're like me and you own a laptop or a computer with 2 graphics cards, this might help fix your issue. So all you have to do is go to Start, type NVIDIA, go to the NVIDIA control panel, and from there go to 3D settings, manage 3D settings, then go to program settings, and look up Adobe Premiere Pro, and make sure that it uses integrated graphics. Hit apply. And then make sure OBS Studio uses it as well. It doesn't matter which version, whether it's 64 or 32, they're both linked. So it's already using integrated graphics, great. Then just hit exit. And from there, you should be able to watch your videos on OBS Studios again, like so. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to teach you how to add cinematic black bars in Adobe Premiere Pro. So what you would do is just go up to Video Effects, go down to Transform, and go to Crop, and drag it onto your clip. And from there, go and add 10% to the top and the bottom. And it's just that easy. And now I'm going to teach you how to ease the black bars into your video. So all you have to do is hit the stopwatch on the top and the bottom to add keyframes to both of those. Move just a little bit to the right, then add in your 10%, add in the 10% keyframe, and do that for both the top and the bottom. And from there, adjust your keyframes accordingly, and it should ease in. And it's just that easy. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to teach you how to add text behind objects in Adobe Premiere Pro. And so what you'll do is just copy the video file and put it above the text. And so from here, go to opacity and create an elliptical mask. And what we'll do here is we're going to center the mask around her head because that's where the text is going to be. And then we're just going to shape it to her head. And so now that you have your mask ready, we'll go ahead and track the mask forward 1 frame at a time. I've learned through experience that if I just track the mask forward, sometimes the mask loses track or the head changes position and you have to redo the mask and it's a big mess. So now that you have the mask formed, we'll track it forward 1 frame at a time. And so keep in mind, it can be a bit of a tedious process to go frame by frame and adjust the mask accordingly, but it is the best way to do it. And so now that we finally finished tracking the mask, let's go ahead and look at our sequence. And it's just that easy. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to teach you how to align text in Adobe Premiere Pro. Now there are 2 ways to align text. First, select your text, go to the Essential Graphics tab, select the text in there, and then you have a bunch of different options that can automatically align the text to wherever you want. The second way is much simpler. Just select the text, hold the Control or Command key, and drag it to wherever you want. You'll see dotted guidelines to help you align your text on screen. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to teach you how to fix the blank window capture problem in OBS Studio. So as you can see here, I have a clip playing in the background on Premiere, but it's not being displayed on OBS Studio. So how am I going to fix this, right? Well, it's quite simple actually. Simply go to Window Capture, right click, go to Properties, then go to Capture Method, then click on From Automatic, which is enabled by default, then go to Windows Graphics Capture. And then as you can see, it's being displayed on both Premiere as well as OBS Studios. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to teach you how to zoom in and zoom out of the timeline in Adobe Premiere Pro. So there are 3 methods on how to do this, and the first method is using the scroll bar. So as you take one of the nodes on the side here and push it inward, you zoom in. But as you pull it outward, you zoom out. And so the next method is my go-to for zooming in and out on the timeline, and that's simply holding Alt on your keyboard and using the scroll wheel. If you scroll forward, you zoom in. If you scroll back, you zoom out. And so the next method is going to be a favorite, especially if you're used to using Final Cut, and that's how to zoom out of the timeline completely. So just simply hit backslash on your keyboard, and you'll zoom out and see all the active clips, like so. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to teach you how to rotate video in Adobe Premiere Pro. So it's actually really quite simple. Go ahead and select your clip, go to Motion, then Rotation, select the little drop down here, and then you can just rotate to your heart's content. And it's just that easy. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to show you how to color grade fast in Adobe Premiere Pro. And so what I have on the timeline here is just a clip of me outside, and then I also have a clip of me inside. Now, as you can tell, the lighting differences are a little different. So in order to make them consistent, the best way we can do that is to use the match color feature in Lumetri Color. So first things first, we'll go ahead and switch on comparison view, and then we'll scroll back to the original clip right here, and then go to Lumetri Color, drag it on over, and get our color wheel and match. But before we do that, I do want to mention that if you want to use a different reference clip, as you can see here, that's the clip that's selected here in the current, and then the reference is over here. If you want to select a different reference clip, you can just use these little toggles to toggle between different files. In the meantime, we got a reference here, so go ahead and hit Apply Match. And it's just that easy. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to teach you how to add and delete multiple transitions fast in Adobe Premiere Pro. This tutorial was requested by Armand Ricey, so Armand, this is for you. And so first I'm going to teach you how to add multiple transitions at once. So go ahead and select your clips, and then hit Shift and D on the keyboard, which will give you the default transitions both in audio and video form. Now say you want to add just audio or just video transitions, but not both. Go ahead and select your clips and hit Control D to add just video transitions, or hit Control Shift D to add just audio transitions. Now say you want to delete all of your transitions at once. Go ahead and select your clips, right click, and go to Speed Duration. And from there, you'll get the speed duration window. Go ahead and just press 105%, then hit OK. And then this will break up your clips and delete all the transitions. And then from there, go ahead and right click while the clips are selected, go back to speed duration, and then change the speed back to 100%. And then all the clips are back and there's no transitions except for the first and the last clip. And for those, you'll just have to manually delete. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to teach you how to migrate all of your settings in Adobe Premiere Pro from one computer to another or from one hard drive to another. Stay tuned. Okay, so first up, all you have to do is go to your original hard drive on your computer, go to local disk C, go to Users, your username, Documents, Adobe, Premiere Pro, and the newest version that you'll find on there. Currently it's 14.0. Then go to your profile name, right click, go down to copy. And then if you've already installed Premiere, go to the same exact folder on the new hard drive or computer, and then just right click and go to paste. And since I already have my profile settings on this new hard drive, it's asking me to replace them. So if that's the case, just go ahead and click it, and it's just that easy. So there's one more folder I forgot to mention earlier, and this contains all of the app data for all the other programs you use as part of the Adobe Creative Cloud suite. So for me, since I use Audition, this folder contains a lot of my presets that I use for making videos. So in order to access this folder, you just need to go to the disk where your operating system is installed in this case mine is C, then go to Users, your username. Next, you need to make sure that hidden items are viewable. So go up to View, then make sure Hidden Items is checked, then go to App Data, then Roaming, and then Adobe. And it'll have a whole list of stuff as far as presets and other things. I recommend you guys keep a copy of this as well as the Premiere Pro presets folder in a safe place just in case something happens. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to teach you how to fix the black screen issue with the display capture in OBS Studios. This is actually an update to a previous tutorial that I did on how to fix the black screen issue with the window capture, but I want to show you how to fix the display capture as well. With my previous tutorial, it allows you to fix the window capture. So you can see here, Premiere Pro works just fine, but I can only show you the top of everything. I can't show you any menus or any other pop-ups or anything like that. So for that, we're going to need the display capture, but as you can see, it's a black screen. So we're going to go to our desktop. We're going to right click and go to display settings. Then we're going to scroll down and go to graphics settings. And from there, we'll keep it at classic app. We'll go to browse. Then we're going to go to where OBS Studio is located, which for me is here. We're going to select the program. Then we're going to go to add. Then from here, we'll go to options. Then we're going to select power saving. Then we're going to go to save. We're going to close out of here. And then for this change to take effect, we have to restart OBS Studios. So keep in mind the display capture is on, but it's showing the black screen right now. Shut it down. Then we're going to restart. And looky there, we got the display capture all on and everything. And it's just that easy. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to test to see just how quick Adobe's new quick export feature is in Adobe Premiere Pro. So today we're going to test 3 different quick export settings versus a regular Premiere export versus my preferred method using Adobe Media Encoder. So now we're going to go to our quick export menu right here. As you can see here, we have several different presets, and we're going to start off with the low bit rate, and then we're going to go to the high bit rate, and then we're going to go to high quality 1080p. So let's go ahead and export. All right, so for the low adaptive quick export setting, it exported a nearly 10-minute 1080p video in 79 seconds. So next we're going to go to the adaptive high bitrate setting and see if there's a difference in speed. So the high adaptive bitrate quick export setting exported it in 84 seconds, which is considerably slower than the low adaptive bitrate, but considering there's more bits involved, it's understandable. So next, we're going to go to the high quality 1080p setting, which will export it at a constant bitrate of 20 megabits per second. Alrighty, so I just got done exporting it through the 1080p quick export setting, and it finished in 85 seconds, just a hair slower than the high adaptive bitrate setting. So now what I'm going to do is compare those numbers to the more traditional methods of exporting videos. So first we're going to do the export through Premiere. So we're going to go to File, we're going to go to Export, then we're going to go to Media, and then I'm going to go to H.264, then I'm going to go to my built-in preset. So what I have here is my go-to export preset, which will have the video at a constant bitrate of 15 megabits per second, and we're just going to export it right from Premiere. Alrighty, so I just got done exporting the video traditionally through Premiere, and it exported the whole thing in 83 seconds. just a little bit faster than the 1080p quick setting, as well as the high adaptive bitrate setting, but not quite as fast as the low adaptive quick export setting. So now what we'll do is we'll export it through my preferred method of exportation through the Adobe Media Encoder. So all the settings will be exactly the same as they were with the traditional Premiere export, but we're just going to be doing it through Media Encoder instead. So let's see if there's a difference. Alrighty, so I have here the overall times for all the different export settings, and we're going to start from low adaptive quick export at 79 seconds. Then we have high adaptive quick export at 84 seconds, 1080p quick export at 85 seconds, my Premiere export through my own settings, 83 seconds, and same settings through Media Encoder also at 83 seconds. So the overall fastest time was the low adaptive quick export setting at 79 seconds. Now my thoughts on the new quick export feature, I think it's a great way to quickly export clips as well as some rough drafts, but overall the times and the differences between exporting them through quick export versus other methods are fairly negligible in my opinion. But if you're just looking for a no muss, no fuss, quick export without having to go through a whole myriad of different settings, I think quick export has you covered. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to show you 5 ways to mute audio in Adobe Premiere Pro. The first way is to simply go to the left side of your sequence window, go to the audio track that you would like to mute, and click the M button for mute. And once it's highlighted, you'll know the track is muted. The second way is to select your clip, go to the Effect Controls window, go down to Audio, to Volume, where it says Level, click this little drop-down arrow, and then take this slider all the way to the left. And that will mute the track. The third way is to again select your clip, go to your Essential Sounds window, and you can select any of these, but I'll just select Dialogue, go down to Clip Volume at the very bottom, and simply select Mute. The fourth way to mute audio is to once again select your clip, go to your Effects window, go to Audio Effects, then go down to Mute, drag this onto the audio section of your clip, then where it says Mute All, hit the down arrow, and drag this all the way to the right. But I find that pretty much anything past 0.5 mute mutes the track completely, so pretty much anywhere between here and there is fair game. And the fifth and final method on muting audio in Adobe Premiere Pro is to hold Alt, click the audio track, right-click, then go to where it says Enable, and uncheck this. And so just a quick note for using this particular method, if you hold Alt and right-click, the menu will rapidly flash away. So you'll have to right-click once again to bring up the menu, and then uncheck Enable. And it's just that easy. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to teach you how to import and render GoPro Max 360/VR footage using Adobe Premiere Pro and GoPro Player. And yes, I totally did read off this Premiere Pro project file. So before you import anything into Premiere Pro, you first need to export it using the GoPro Player. So once the GoPro Player is opened, go to File and Batch Exporter. From here, you can choose your files or drag them over there. And since we have our files right here, we'll just go ahead and drag them into the batch exporter. Like so. So over here you have the different settings that you can adjust. You can change the codec, you can change the resolution, change world lock, horizon level, or hardware encoding. I would recommend having hardware encoding enabled, as well as the current settings that are shown here. So we'll go ahead and make sure both files have the correct settings. And from there, just hit start. All right, so now that our 360 files have been rendered into .movs, we'll go ahead and open our Premiere Pro project. Then we'll import the footage. And one thing to keep in mind after you import your footage is to make sure your sequence settings match. So right here we have properties of the rendered videos, so make sure that they match in your Premiere sequence settings. Take into account dimensions as well as frame rates. And then from here, you can go ahead and edit the video however you like. And once that's done, go ahead, go to File, Export, and then Media. Or just hit Control M on your keyboard. And so here are my recommended settings for exporting VR footage. Now, keep in mind I'm using H.265 or HEVC. And the reason behind this is because with this codec, you can use hardware encoding, whereas with H.264, because this is not in 4K, you can only use software encoding, which is a lot slower when it comes to rendering. And so from here, we have the frame rates and dimensions, same size as the project. In this case, I have it at 35 megabits per second, but you can change this bit rate however you like. You can also adjust the quality depending on how fast you want it rendered and how high quality you want it. But one key element to make sure you have selected for VR video is to scroll to the very bottom of the video settings and select Video is VR. And from there, make sure the frame layout is monoscopic and that your vertical field of view is 180. That way, once this is rendered and if you upload it to YouTube, it'll recognize, because this is ticked, that this is a VR video and it will render it accordingly. Because if you don't tick this, then this will be just as is, and it won't be a proper VR/360 video. And from there, you can just hit export. And it's just that easy. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to teach you how to add effects to multiple clips at once in Adobe Premiere Pro. So what we have here on the timeline are 4K clips as well as 1080p clips. And instead of downgrading the resolution to 1080p, I've decided to keep everything at 4K. So in order to do that, we have to upscale our 1080p clips. So we have to go ahead, click on the clip, go to our effects controls, down to motion, then to scale, and we change this 100 to 200, and it scales up the clip. But as you see down here, we have a whole bunch of clips. So instead of doing this for every single clip, we'll go ahead, right-click motion, go to copy, then select all of our clips, then hit Control V on the keyboard, or Command V if you're using Macs, and it'll apply the same effects to all of the clips. And you can also do this for different effects as well. Say for instance, I want to add a hard limiter to all the clips. You can go ahead, select this, hit copy, and then select all the other clips. Then hit Control V on the keyboard, or Command V if you're using Mac, and it'll have the same effect for all of the clips. And it's just that easy. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to teach you how to close gaps in Adobe Premiere Pro. So what I have here in this sequence is a collection of various assets that I use throughout my videos. You might recognize a few of them here and there. And what we need to do is close the gap between all of these assets. So in order to do that, we just simply go up to Sequence, down to Close Gap. And if you wanted to close the gap between just a few select clips, go ahead and select those clips, go back up to Sequence, and Close Gap. And if you happen to use this effect quite often, it would be best to assign it to a keyboard shortcut. So in order to do that, just go up to Edit, then Keyboard Shortcuts, then search for Close Gap. And I've already assigned it the shortcut of Shift-G, and then hit OK. And then all you have to do is just simply hit, in this case, Shift-G on your keyboard. I'll automatically do it. Or if you wanted to do a couple select clips, highlight them, and hit Shift-G instead. And it's just that easy. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to teach you how to update Adobe Premiere Pro both automatically and manually. So obviously I am running Windows, so if you're running Mac, this is going to look a little different, but hopefully you can still follow along. So we're at the desktop here, so we just go down to the Start menu here, click it, go to Adobe Creative Cloud. And that's going to open the Creative Cloud desktop, as you can see here. Then go to Updates. And if there was any sort of update, it would show on here. And then you could just update from there. Now, if you wanted to have these things done automatically, just click on Enable Auto Updates, and whenever an update happens, it'll just automatically update it. Now, me personally, because I do video editing work, I'd prefer to manually update things so that way I can finish out any sort of project in case there's any sort of compatibility issue or any other sort of issue with an update, which has happened before. So I prefer to do things manually, but if you're just a casual editor and don't have deadlines or anything like that, then I think auto update is the way to go. But if you're like me and a little cautious about updates, just go over to the right here, click on check for updates, and it'll go ahead check for some updates. And right now, I'm up to date on all of my apps, and it's just that easy. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to teach you how to add multiple transitions at once in Adobe Premiere Pro. Now, this is an updated version of one of my most popular tutorials because I discovered a new, more efficient way to do this. So as with the original version, I told you to go to your timeline and select the clips. This time, we're going to do things a little different. So instead, we're going to be going to our tools over here, go to the Ripple Edit tool, click on that, then go back to the timeline, and we're going to select the clips, quote unquote, but we're actually selecting the in-betweens of the clips. So once you have all those selected, go ahead, release, and then you do your key commands. So Shift D if you want to do both an audio and video transition, Control D if you just want to do a video transition, or Control Shift D if you want to do just an audio transition. And it's just that easy. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to teach you how to make multiple clips from one video in Adobe Premiere Pro. This tutorial was inspired by E.T. Eric Timmer. He did a similar tutorial in iMovie, so I figured I'd just do one in Premiere as well. So what we have here on the timeline is my graduation ceremony. It's a little over 50 minutes long, so I'm going to cut this into different sections. Now, you can do this in multiple ways. You can use the cut tool here, the razor tool, and just make your cuts here, or you could do key commands like what I like to do, and we'll just make some cuts here. Now, obviously, if we were doing this for real, we would, dial in exactly where we want to cut, but this is just for demonstration purposes. Now we have our 5 sections cut up. I'm going to show you 2 different ways on how to do this. And so the first way to do this would be how I would do it, and that would be to set in and out points. So on your keyboard, you just hit I to mark the in point and O to mark the out point. And another way to do this would be to go over here to mark in and mark out. So in and then out. And then you would just drag the in and out points to match the cuts that you made earlier. And I prefer doing this because it makes it much more accurate to nail those in and out points rather than just kind of feeling out and guessing where they are. So that way you have distinctive sections. So now that you have your in and out points marked, you just simply go up to Export or hit Control M on your keyboard. And then you go to whatever export setting you want. This is just the one I have set up. It's not really relevant to this tutorial, but from there, you go to Range, and it's already selected Source In and Out. So it'll only render the in and out points right here. Then you go to Send to Media Encoder. And from there, you'll have the output file, location, settings, all that fun stuff. So you can label the sequence however you like. This is just kind of the default setting. And then you can just rinse and repeat to render out the multiple sections. And so the second way to do this is to make multiple sequences. Now, this is useful, especially if you want to add things to the clip, like B-roll, captions, other sorts of special effects, and just want to edit the clips a bit more intensely rather than just render them out. So you'd simply just go to your project folder right here, right-click, go to New Item, and Sequence, then just choose a sequence from here. Or if you don't want to faff about with that, you can also go to the sequence that's already in your project folder. In this case, Andy Sequence, right click and click Duplicate. Then just open the sequence, and you can do this for each individual clip. So in this case, we'll just simply do it for the first one. So since it's a duplicate, we'll just delete all the rest of the stuff, and it'll just be for this first clip right here. And then from there, you go to export. Since it's just for the entire clip, you can do source in and out. You can do entire source. Doesn't matter because it's all one clip in one sequence. Send it to Media Encoder. And it's just that easy. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to teach you how to change the length of any song in Adobe Premiere Pro. So what we have here is the timeline for an Eric mealtime video that I'm putting together right now. Usually for these videos I have a little intro right here, and then we get into the meat and potatoes of the video, or the wine in this case. But before that, we have ourselves a nice little montage video. And when I usually pick the songs, they're a little bit longer than the montage, so I could just simply drag this to fit within the parameters of the montage. But another thing we could do is use the new remix tool that's available in Adobe Premiere Pro. So in order to activate the remix tool, we need to simply go to our toolbar, click and hold the ripple edit tool, go down to where it says remix tool, click on that. And then, now that we have the remix tool enabled, we can simply just go to our song, go to the very end, click on that, and we can drag it all the way to where we desire the song to be. And then after it's done analyzing the clip, this is what we're left with here. So as you can see, it made some little cuts here and there and restitched the song. But I also don't want this fade out right here. So what we're gonna do is go back to clicking on to the remix tool, and then just simply stretching it out a little bit until it gets to another bar, and then we can just cut that part out. Another thing you can do is go to your Essential Sounds tab right up here, and then you can get into more customization features with the remix feature. Just simply click on this menu right here, Customize. And then from here, you can adjust the amount of segments and variations. So if I wanted less segments, I could just simply slide the slider to the left. And as you can see, it's just 3 segments. Or if I wanted more segments, then we can slide it to the right. And as you can see, there's a lot more little mini segments as well. And then you can also change the type of variations as well. Now this can change from song to song. Sometimes, in my experience, it's kind of hit or miss, but you can have the changes be melodic based, or you can have the changes be harmonically based by sliding the slider from the left to the right, respectively. Now, another way that you can use the remix function is to open it up in Adobe Audition, where it was originally from. This is how I used to do the edits for Eric and for my own channels as well, if I wanted to lengthen or shorten songs. So just simply go to your multi-track editor here in Adobe Audition, click on it, and it'll start up a new multi-track session. Hit OK. Then you drag your MP3 file onto the track, like so. Then once it's done populating, you go to your Essential Sounds folder here, click on that. And then you go to your music presets here, click on that. Then you go to duration, click on that box. Then you go to remix, click on that button. And from there, you can adjust your target length. In this case, it'll be about 1.5 minutes, we'll say. So we'll change this to 1.5 minutes. Then you hit enter. And obviously the target won't be bang on to 1.5 minutes. It'll try to give you a little more leeway just in case you need to cut some extra stuff. And you can also click on this box as well to favor shorter segments, or unclick it for longer segments, just depending on the song. And it's just that easy. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to teach you how to show the audio waveform in a multicam sequence in Adobe Premiere Pro. So as you can see here, I'm putting together a multicam sequence with 3 different camera angles. and I can't see the audio waveform down here, which really helps me to cut the sequence more precisely. I did do some initial cutting over here, but I kind of want to see the waveforms as I'm editing the videos. Now, I can see it in the multicam sequence. See, there's the waveform down there, but on the main timeline, I can't see it, so I can't make the most accurate cuts. So, the very simple solution to this is to simply click on your multicam sequence down here, go up to sequence, and then go to render audio. And it's just that easy. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to teach you how to automatically remove pauses and filler words in Adobe Premiere Pro. So before we begin, we must transcribe our video, and in order to do that, we must activate the text window. So to do that, we go up to Window and go down to Text and then click on it. So right now you see the little check mark right there, so I already have it activated, but if you don't, that's how you do it. And then you go to your text window, which I have located right here, go to Transcript. And it says here you have two sources. So the 13 Taco Bell sound variants is a sound effect that I use. So we're just going to uncheck that, and we're just going to have the Eric Mealtime 1.wave checked, because that's the main audio source here. And then we're going to click on Transcribe. Now this might take a few minutes depending on how long the project is, so just hang tight. All right, so now we have our transcript settled out here. And as you can see, it transcripted the entire conversation. And if you look closely, they have little ellipses here, and it even tells you the length of the ellipses. So in order to automatically eliminate the pauses and filler words, we simply go up to this little eyedropper type tool, click on that, and it presents a drop-down menu showing text, filler words, pauses, and search settings. Now, before we get into filler words and pauses, I want to show you the different search settings that you can put in. So you have the transcript view right here. So it shows the different things that it looks for, like filler words, for instance, low confidence words, untranscribed sources, speakers, pauses. And you can adjust the minimum pause length. Me personally, I found that having it at the maximum length of 2.5 seconds works the best, because if you have it any less, then I find that it cuts just a little too suddenly. So it's good to have just a little bit of pause, but not too much. So just have it at the maximum length possible for the minimum pause length, and you'll be good to go. So go ahead, click save, go ahead and go to filler words. And in this video, it has 44 results. So go up to delete, and you can choose to delete all or just delete a specific word. And there's two ways to do it. You can either extract it or lift it. If you lift it, it'll just leave a big space where you deleted it. But if you extract it, it will fill in that space. So it's kind of the difference between a ripple delete and just a regular delete. So I'll show you what it looks like when you lift, and then we'll move on to extract, which is my preferred method. So I'll click on lift and click delete all. And if you zoom in closely, you can see that when you do lift, it just leaves all these gaps. So we'll go ahead and do that. Then we'll go back and we'll click on extract instead. Hit delete all. And as you can see, there are no gaps. And now to eliminate the pauses, all we have to do is simply go up to the eyedropper tool here, go to pauses, click delete, make sure extract is ticked, and then hit delete all. And it's just that easy. Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to teach you how to delete all transitions fast in Adobe Premiere Pro. This tutorial is brought to you by Benoit Cote. Benoit, this is for you. So as you can see here on our timeline, I have a few video clips with some transitions that I'd like to remove. So what I'll do is I'll go up to Sequence, go to Simplify Sequence, and then go to the Transitions box, check it, and then go to Simplify. And it's just that easy. So yeah, that's how you can delete all transitions fast in Adobe Premiere Pro. If you liked this tutorial, be sure to give a like and subscribe for more tutorials. And if you have a question or suggestion, just like Benoit did, be sure to leave it in the comments down below, and it could be the next tutorial. This is Andy, signing off for now, and as always, we'll see you next time. Bye guys.